Hello, everybody. Very good evening to you all. Myself, Dr. Bobby Basu, Faculty Heritage Business School, take this privilege to welcome you all to this webinar organized by Heritage Business School. Today, we are very happy to have amongst us Shri Amitabh Chattopadhyay, Senior Vice President, Naukri.com, who will be speaking on a very relevant topic, career perspectives during COVID-19 and thereafter. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Chattopadhyay. Now I would request our director, sir, Dr. J.N. Mukhopadhyay, to introduce the speaker of the day, Shri Amitabh Chattopadhyay, and thereafter take forward the session.
Thank you, Dr. Bobby. Good evening to all the 110 participants. So we are very happy. Sometimes we have only 70 participants, but today I'm very happy that we crossed 100. So we are at 110 plus. That's a very good thing. So Dr. Bobby was telling us that, Heritage Business School has got 2 recognitions in this last, because of the continuous effort it has done for excellence. One is it has got from ASSOCHAM, and one has got from the ET, the Economic Times, as one of the most best B school brands, and also as one of the best B schools in the Eastern region. So on behalf of Heritage Business School, the Heritage Group, and my personal behalf, I would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Sri Amitabh Chattopadhyay, and to all the other participants, mostly were students, but also the faculty members who have joined, and also respected people like Mr. Dr. Gaur Banerjee, who's the principal of a sister institute, and Ms. Kavita Shastri, who is the registrar of the sister institute, have joined us. So I'm really happy for them, and all the other faculty members who have joined. This is an extremely relevant topic. So I am very excited that when Mr. Chattopadhyay readily agreed, because I don't think there is even a better person today in Calcutta who can speak about this topic. A very brief introduction. Mr. Amitabh holds an MBA degree from IIS WPM, and then he also did a Salesforce program from ISB Hyderabad. He worked for various leading companies before joining InfoEdge in 2002. So that's about 18 years now. And he's currently the Senior Vice President of the company. He holds the profit and loss account accountability. So that's profit center head, as we call it. And he ranked as a peak performer in the organization, right? Just a brief introduction. And I had read this in a book, and this will be very inspiring to students, because I always tell the students to become entrepreneurs. So just want to tell you that Naukri was started in 1997 by Mr. Sanjeev Bhikhchandani, who's an alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad, 1989 batch. Now he had from the campus a very plush job. He was having Glaxo, which is a multinational. So he could have continued there and become a marketing director or the CEO of the company, which many IIM Ahmedabad people does. But he decided to take the entrepreneurial route, and very early in his life, he started in 1997. He started this Naukri, InfoEdge, under that Naukri, as a floorless employment exchange. Students, I want to tell you this, that whenever there's a problem, there's an opportunity for all of you. So one of the things which interests all of us is looking for a job, and a better and better job. And the ways it was done 25 years back was that there's some newspaper advertisements and basically, or some business magazines. And instead of starting from the front, you always to start from the back where the job postings were done. So Mr. Sanjeev Bhikhchandani could identify that great need for this, and he started this company. But I also want to tell you that, and he started this from his servant's quarter of his home. So all of us who see entrepreneurs as having a BMW or Mercedes and staying in plush homes, that is only after they have succeeded. Initially, Mr. Bhikhchandani started from his servant's quarters, from his home. Then his company was doing well. He took up a plush office. And again, when the office was not doing well, he again came back to his servant's quarters. And then, for you, internet and everything is so easy. But when he was graduating out of Ahmedabad, and most people did not have much idea of technology, internet was something very new. So he actually, through the help of his brother, he actually got a server from USA, And then he thought of, creating a website. And there are lots of ups and downs. And today, of course, it's one of the largest companies on the job search. So I think career is a very important thing. If you leave out the luck factor, there's of course a luck factor, but if you leave out the luck factor, there's something called a career management, how to do career management, right? And COVID-19 has happened. It has, those even who are 85, 90 years say that they've never seen a situation like this when the local trains have not worked. Throughout the world, all economies are doing badly. Even in World War, some economies were doing well, but here no economy is doing well. All careers are getting disrupted. Many people are taking salary cuts. Many people are losing their jobs. But in this also, the stronger will become strongest. They will come out better because they have got the right qualities. While at one time, students, you may be thinking that it's so difficult to get a job, which is absolutely correct. But on the other hand, I want to tell you that if you ask a CEO of a company, that, he will tell you that he is looking for a good marketing director, he's looking for a good finance director, he's looking for a good HR director, and he's looking for so many good people, and he doesn't have enough good people. So, at one end, people are struggling to find jobs. At the other end, the top companies are finding it difficult to get talent. So therefore, I think it is very important that we build up. If we build up the talent, then what will happen is even your CV must be recession proof. Whatever happens, pandemic or no pandemic, you must have those qualities by which people want to have you in the organization. So I think we will have lots of question answers. It's a very, very interesting thing. So please put it up in your chat boxes, and I will try to take as many questions as time permits. Don't get disheartened if I cannot take your question, because time is also an important factor. So once again, thanking Mr. Chattopadhyay for joining us today. And it was a working day for him. It is not a holiday. He's working whole day. So therefore, I said that let's schedule in the evening so that even after a day's work, he's kindly agreed to join. So we must be very attentive and listen to him. He sent me a very nice presentation. I hope that we are able to load it, because even without that, of course, with his knowledge, we'll be able to learn a lot. So welcome you once again, Mr. Chattopadhyay, and Mr. Amitabh, please take the floor is all yours now.
Thank you, Professor Mukherjee, and thank you, Dr. Bobby Basu. Its heritage always has been very close to Info Edge's heart, and especially to me. As I say today, I'd rather say that currently there is already, I have with me one of my colleagues who is currently working with Naukri with us for the last almost 4 years now. And before that also we had 2 people coming and joining from Heritage. So as I say this, that yes, we always look upon to Heritage in a different perspective and all. And congratulations to Heritage Business School for getting the award from ETA and ASSOCHAM. This session, as I start, I would rather say that please make it more interactive. You're most welcome to stop me in between wherever you want to and tell me, and I am open to answering any questions and all, right? Which may be relevant to COVID or may not be relevant to COVID, may be relevant to jobs, may not be relevant to jobs. Yes, as far as it's possible for me, I will definitely do it. But yes, we have distinguished people like Professor Gaurav Banerjee also with us in this, and Kavita Shastri also with us, and a lot of professors also from the Heritage Group. So the floor means they are much better equipped than me to answer questions than me, right? So as the way it started, yes, I would rather say that InfoEdge is today the #1 internet company because of a couple of things. First and foremost is that we were, if you want to say, we are the startup of all the startups, right? Today you speak of all the startups which are there, and also we were a startup in 1997. So that time there was nothing called startup. So we were just an internet company. Then we become a .com company, and then gradually to be the #1 internet and classified company in the world, in the country today. As I say, we currently have around 4,500 people working with us. We have offices spread over around 45 locations in India, plus we have international offices. So I don't want to waste much time giving background on Info Edge and all those stuff. What I would like to say is that as Professor Jayanam said, that yes, there is no substitute to hard work. In today's date, I also still believe that it's a hard work. So when the pandemic hit in this March, around the 15th or 16th to be precise, before the lockdown started off on 23rd and all, is that we were also getting ready and geared up. If you see in 24 hours time, is that the entire organization of Info Edge was able to move to a work from home operations. So that itself is a big thing. So very rarely does organizations have the capacity to do this. But yes, we had our infrastructure, we had everything in set. So it was an easy task for us to migrate and move it. But what is going to happen is that if you're going to see it, that the biggest part is going to be the change. The change as we see going forward is the major thing. So as I start, I don't know, it's the presentation, I wish I could have shown you. The global pandemic is affecting all our lives, all our families, all our communities, and the way we are working. First and foremost, our heart goes out to everyone who has been impacted by the virus, either directly or indirectly. To be precise, currently everyone is impacted directly. If someone says indirectly, I would rather say no, everyone is directly impacted. So currently what is happening, if you say organizations, means the main context of me coming out here is to give you all a brief and give you all some insights what is currently happening with organizations per se. If you see, many companies across the world is realigning their business strategies to stay ahead in the current COVID-19 scenario. I give you a small example. Say, for example, Savlon. Savlon till 2 months back was only the Savlon antiseptic liquid. But if you go down today, Savlon has come up with sanitizers. Savlon has come up with sanitizer sprays, and I am hearing that they might come up with masks also. If you see, Godrej has come up with W95 mask. If you see, this is a total diversification which has happened in Godrej as a whole, as an organization. Lot of organizations are changing the way they operate. Lot of organizations are changing about their product line and their bottom line also. Organizations are realigning and redesigning their way of work. I give you a small example of like Info Edge like ours. See, what we are mostly a sales-driven organization. So we go and meet a lot of clients. Now, all the entire client meeting is happening through virtually. We are doing either a Zoom call, or we are doing a Google Meet, or we are doing a Microsoft Teams, or we are doing through Cisco WebEx, or even we are doing WhatsApp calls and all and all. So if you see, that itself is a change, and we all have to adapt to these changes very fast. And the fast means we have to be, I would rather say the pace has to be pretty fast. Means we cannot say that someone will teach me. Because if you see that no one has taught you all how to use a WhatsApp, and no one has taught you all how to use a maybe Facebook, but you all have learned it, and you all have learned it very fast. Okay. You will see a lot of new roles which are coming up, and there are a lot of roles which will slowly become redundant. A lot of roles will actually die out. As an organization per se, you will see a lot of roles going out. Lot of industry per se will see, industry as a whole will see a lot of changes, which itself will go up. So we have to be ready with all those things. Now I'll go to an important study which is there. It's a Parle-G study. Right. So the Parle-G study, this has come up in NDTV just a couple of days back. Parle-G, founded in 1929, employs over 1 lakh people across 10 companies and 125 manufacturing units. In August 2009, Parle-G as a whole, the largest seller, or even I would rather say, Parle-G, all of you consider it to be a case study. That Parle-G is the #1 biscuits which are in the world, to be precise. Number one selling biscuits as far as unit is concerned. So August 2019, they all of a sudden they could realize, and they understood that yes, they had to realign or replan or do something because their sales were falling down, and sales were falling down drastically. But if you see there's the flip side. August 2019 and May 2020, Parle-G claims to have the highest sales in the last 8 decades of year itself. So if you see, this itself is a big case study. Because see, a company which was thinking of closing down, not closing down to be precise, downsizing to be precise, thinking of redesigning their model of reaching out to people and all, is a case study today in 2020. When they are saying that in the last 80 years they have not had this much of sales. So this is a big case study by itself. Even if you see the telecom companies, I think all of you must be aware. Say 1 year back, 1.5 years back, people were means asked to move out. It was a very sad story, but people were asked to move out, especially after the I would rather say the Geo wave, that people from all these big telecom companies were slowly asked to move out. Means the Vodafones and the Idea merged. Then your Airtel was in a bad shape, right? And all these started up. But if you see that what happened is that after this pandemic, or during this pandemic currently also, there's a lot of usage, a lot of requirement of data. And to support this, you need telecom companies. Now, if you see, I have been speaking with a lot of the big manpower consultants in the country today. They say that we have started getting a lot of requirements from these, especially these telecom companies. And these are requirements which were which they had considered to be obsolete or redundant. They're saying they're redesigning the entire stuff and they're saying, let's come back, let us be back to what it was and all. Because this is going to come up. If you see that after the Jio and FB tie-up, there are talks that of Airtel or Vodafone and all tying up with other global MNCs and global players. Okay. So what I'm saying that see, lot of these companies which at one point of time had thought of downsizing or thought of realigning themselves or realigning their workforce are now rethinking of what to do. Yeah, I tell you, there is no dearth of jobs. Currently there might be some stoppages or there might be something that yes, companies are thinking or they have put some hiring on freeze or some hiring on hold, but the hirings are still happening and the hirings will happen, and the moment this economy normalizes, people will need a lot of manpower. And manpower, I would rather say, see, any business is dependent on two parts, on broadly, to be precise. One is the existing customer base and the one is the new customer base. See, holding on to the existing customer base will be a challenge because some of these customer bases will have to they will again rethink, they will again think about their strategy and their investment towards it's where they were investing in and currently getting in new clients. So if you see it, say I give you an example of us, Info Edge as a whole, or Naukri to be precise. See, what we do is that we cater to a lot of B2B clients. Say we have 5,000 clients in this part of the country, to be precise, in Eastern India, out of which about 80% of clients are repeat clients or repeat business clients. Now, these 80% clients, means managing or holding on to these 80% clients, is for which you require manpower. And getting that new 20% client which we get every year, you will also require manpower. So manpower is going to be very critical, but yes, people will spend a lot of time in getting the right manpower and getting the quality manpower. Because in earlier cases, it used to happen that people used to say that, fine, I need 20 people, let me go out and hire it. So they may hire 20, but that 20 may not be in standard with what is expected. So now the things will change. Now the entire concept or the entire way the companies are going to hire is going to, because they will spend a lot of time, they will spend a lot of quality time hiring. In earlier cases, if the entire process would have got over in 1 day, this process will not get over in 1 day. This process will get over in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. because the current scenario of the interviews will go on. Because the interviews currently, as I see, is that a lot of interviews are happening through video interviews. A lot of interviews are happening through these social things, to be precise, virtual. Telephonic interview is something which was earlier existing, but people are now saying that let's have virtual interview. If you see that someone is hiring in the junior level also, the HR used to come and hire. With that, we used to be there. There used to be other people. Now, getting in three people into one place on one particular date and a time was a task. Now it is no more a difficult task. We tell you that any one of you that we want to have a conduct an interview with it, and the panel will be three people. So these three can be coming down any point of time. It may be even at as late as 8 in the evening, because you also need a job. We also need a good people, right? So that is where it is going to come and hit. So quality of people is going to be very critical. And what I'd rather say is that, see, when you are going down, be very careful and be very cautious about your knowledge. What happens is that in today's day, still we look for people who are knowledgeable and who have done quality work. As you, as future leaders, and currently you all are stepping into the, means you all will be stepping into the corporate world. I would rather say the most critical part of your means CV is going to be your SIP, is the summer internship, or the projects that you do, whatever be it, it's summer project or winter project. Spend quality time in that. Spend quality time writing about that and do it. See, I can tell you, means anytime when we ask that what is the sample size of survey that you did, someone says I did 200 people, someone says I did 500 people. And when you ask them that how many used to visit a day, they used to say I used to visit 3 people a day. And 3 people a day, with, even if I consider 30 days, 3 into 3 is 90. And 90 into 2 is 180. And someone is saying I have, my sample size is 500. These are tractions which people can easily make out of it. So when you all are presenting, when you all are speaking, do about that. So now if you see, I'll just run all of you through what exactly, because see, all of you will be used to making a CV. But I'll just give you some pointers where you all can work out and think about what about its critical and all, which is going to be there. Is that first, is that when you are making your career, see, be very careful is that you have to set your goals. See, setting a goal is that you have to set your long-term goal first and then gradually break it down subsequently. Say in the next, I would rather say do not take a 5-year perspective, take a 2 to 3 year perspective. The reason I'm taking a 2-3 year perspective is that currently we don't know what is happening and how things are changing so fast. So set your goals for the next 2 years, that in the next 2 years, from A, I want to go to B position, right? And this is what I want to do. See, do not always run after money. I know in today's date, money is very critical, very important. But be very careful while choosing an organization. Be very careful of choosing a job and be very careful of choosing the right profile. Because if you see, a lot of people have joined Info Edge and Naukri, and they had left us within 1 year, 2 years, and they are still struggling. And they are calling and they are saying that, is there an opportunity for us to come back and all that. So if they are fortunate enough, if there are opportunities, we say that yes, it is there, but they have to go down through the entire process again. But it does not happen. But if you see that they said, but sir, I left this organization, I joined this startup at double the salary. But if you see currently, I am not getting my salaries for the last 2 months, 3 months. So before going and jumping into any job or any organization, see the background of the organization, do a thorough research about the organization, do a thorough research about the job also. Okay, so that is what is a step one. So if you see that you set your goals first, the priority is to setting your goals. If you do not set your goals, you will work haywire. Say in the current scenario also, when you all have passed out in your school days, in your 10th or 12th standard, in your graduations, you all have set your goals. and I want to score this percentile, I want to score this. Similarly, in your MBAs, you say that yes, my CTPA score should be this much and all. So similarly, in organization per se also, you want to set your goals per se. That yes, this is, if I get an opportunity in this organization, next 2 years I move from here to here. So this is what I have to do. Then is that create a feedback loop. See, one of the most toughest thing is to take a feedback. See, parents are the one who will give you the best feedback because they care you most. The next best person for all of you currently is your faculty members and your teachers. No one can be better than them. You all have to understand one thing. They give you feedback because they know that you all are the people who will go out and spread the flag, or means will stand with the flag of Heritage Business School and make it fly high. So take feedbacks, be it a positive feedback. Obviously, it is very easy to get, but the very difficult part is to hear to the bad and the ugly feedback. The most toughest part is to get the ugly feedback. Not, and then just don't just get a feedback and sit on that. Start working on that feedback. Start developing on it. See, one of you, I tell you one thing. We ask people that what are your weaknesses. See, really is that people come and say the actual word. So you all always try to showcase a strength as your weakness and say this is the fact. But yes, if it's your weakness, you say that is my weakness and tell it. I just give you last year when we hired a guy. He said that he had dropped 1 year in his standard 12. So when we asked him why did you drop, he said that, sir, I was so engrossed and so much involved in studying with automobiles that I did not find much of time, and actually I could not sit for my exam. 99% of the cases, if we ask, and to tell you frankly, we hired that guy, and he is doing very well right now. 99% of the cases you say, someone will say, sir, I was suffering from malaria. Someone will say, I was suffering from jaundice. If it is a fact, it's a fact. You tell the fact. In the interview board, people look for that. Now, it comes to your accomplishments. See, in today's date, currently as freshers, you all may not have too much apart from your SIP project or maybe the school, the college events that you all are doing. So, try to showcase that and try to be happy with that. See, you should celebrate your proud moment, even if it is with yourself, even if it is with your parents, even if it is with your friends. Obviously, you all celebrate your proud moment, but you all should go on that you all are celebrating your proud moments, because if you all do not celebrate your proud moments and you all do not feel accomplished that yes, I've done it, it becomes a tough task. Okay, because see, as Dr. Banerjee, Dr. Basu was saying in the first time that Sushant Singh Rajput, such a brilliant actor, had taken such a drastic step, is that he was not able to, maybe that yes, he had accomplished a lot, but maybe he was not able to share all of these and all of that. So you will have to do it. So you cannot just be too much introvert, too much inside your shell and do it. Because if you do not showcase in the corporate world, it is very difficult for you to survive. Because like you, there will be hundreds of other people showcasing their work, even if not doing it. I'm telling you, there are a lot of people who don't do it. They do 10% and showcase 90%. But what is showcased is actually what gets noticed. Now, you should manage your work samples very well. You create your own folders, you create your own data banks, and you do it. It is not for today, it is for your future also, that you create all your data points ready. So if you do not have your data points ready, so if someone asks you that what is that you have done this, where have you done this, and all, so that has to be there. That data point, that data has to be there with you at any point of time. Now, how you manage it, it is upon you. Similarly, you have to go on increasing your conversations, read articles, websites, blogs, whatever is there. See, I tell you one thing, Google has an excellent feature of sending alerts. Say, in today's day, you want to see what are the positive things of COVID, right? So you create an alert in Google, positives of COVID-19, and you will see almost daily some news or other is hitting you. Because this alert is already set for you and that is coming. So if you see, we also track a lot of companies. See, when we are going and meeting clients, we have to go and meet clients, giving him information that this, because see, the client will always not give us all his information. The client will say, I'm not doing well. Say today, I give you an example. If I go and meet the ITCs of the world, the ITC people, the HR of ITC is saying, we are not doing well, our cigarettes are not getting sold, our distributors are blocked. But yes, if you see their FMCG is doing well, their Ashirvad Atta is doing well, their Savlon is doing well, the Nimail is doing very well. If you see, in fact, all their soaps and all are doing pretty well. So if you see that going, you have to increase data points with whatever source you want to have it on, right? So these are activities I'm saying across your life. This is important. Whenever you want to go for an interview, even at whatever age it is. And when you are staying with the organization, always feel to raise your hand. You'll see a lot of new projects coming up. You'll see a lot of new assignments coming up. Your senior might be telling that this is a new project or this is a new assignment the organization is looking into. Try to raise your hand. Try to go and say that, yes, I want to get involved in this particular project. I want to go and be a part of it. See, the moment you do is that you are increasing your portfolio. You are increasing your presence in the organization. You are increasing your say in the organization. So that, again, it's a very great thing which you all have to do. And then spend time maintaining your data. See, in today's day, in the next couple of months, social media is going to be the biggest part of everything. So you will have to ensure is that you all are maintaining all your data and you all are regularly updating that in the social media. I'll come to that, then how the social is going to play a critical part. So I've been speaking. So in the meantime, if you all have any questions, you all are most welcome to ask. I pause for.
No. I think you continue and we'll keep, because there are lots of questions. But let you kindly finish your presentation. We'll do after that.
Now, tips to modernize your resume. Tailor-made your resume to the target job. See, when you're going and meeting, see, every resume should be built according to the particular job. See, when the job is coming, you should see what exactly is the job happening and coming out to you. What is the job in offering? See, we have seen that when a person is going for an interview for a sales job, he is going with as I would rather say, as you all are going to the present, sorry, your CV. Your CV is a normal CV, but you have done your minors in sales and your majors is in HR. But your CV is showcased in the same way that your HR is showing as your major, but you're keen to join a sales job which is into HR, like Info Edge or like Naukri. So you can showcase it in that way. So we face and we see that a lot of people say, sir, my job was actually HR, so I did more of L&D type of project. While you did a second project which was more to be precise into sales, or may not be directly sales, a part of it is into HR. They were looking for maybe the employee satisfaction survey and all. They get to go and reach out to a lot of employees and do it. If you see, that also is a part of, means I would rather say indirect sales, because it's not easy to go and get an employee feedback. So that you should see what exactly is the job and redesign your resume in that way instead of going in with a standard resume. Because see, most of the time people have the standard resumes and that is what is showcased. So it should not happen. And then reach out to the reader. So you should read the job very carefully. This I'm telling you as a general person, because this is nothing to do with you as freshers. Means even 5 years, means 2 years down the line or 1 year down the line, this might help all of you. Means until and unless we see another pandemic happening or another change happening in the entire global scenario. Now, reach out to readers is that you have to go and check what is the job, check out what is the target role, and try and put those data points into your resume. Showcase your USPs. The biggest part is that you have to showcase your USPs. Even maybe in a project, a summer intern SIP that you have done, in that you have done a very great job, and your project manager has appreciated you. Apart from giving you a normal project letter, he has given you an appreciation letter. That should be highlighted. Okay, be concise. See, in today's date, when I see is that it's not me. A lot of time we see that a fresher is coming to give an interview with a 3 pages resume. See, no one has so much of time to read a 3 page resume. You'll have to understand one thing: your resume should not go down beyond a certain 1 to 1.5 pages. Your institute is quite the institute will obviously guide you, help you out and all. But usually we see that people have a tendency to come up with 2, 3 pages when you are just a fresher without any experience. You tell me, means I was speaking with the head HR of a leading manufacturing company in Kolkata, and he was asking me to realign his resume. So he had a 3 page resume. He said that I want to make it to 2 pages. So then I had sat with him for 1.5 hours, and we were able to boil it down to almost 2 pages, means within 2 pages to be precise. So that is what is important because, but in that 2 pages, you have to highlight each and every point. You cannot just be, it cannot be just a normal essay. It has to have all your points you're highlighting. Then give proof because see, first and foremost is that if someone is hiring you and you are not able to perform, the company, the person who has hired you is questionable, he is answerable. If I have hired any one of you and you are not able to perform, or any one of you leave the organization for whatever reason, I am answerable because that, is it that I did a wrong judgment? Or is it that something went wrong somewhere? So you have to understand one thing, that when someone is hiring you, when you are going in, be very specific that yes, that suits you. And the company who is making the investment is making the right investment. Say in today's day, it might be, some of you might be doing some investment in mutual funds, but you all might be doing a lot of market research and market study before making where to invest. Okay. Similarly, provide context. It's a very great thing that you have to provide context because you cannot just go on that this is was there and this is there and all. It should not be a narrative thing and all. It's not an essay, as I said in the initial word. Use a lot of action words. Another, which is a very critical point, is a point number 8, which I say, is that most of the organizations currently is moving to ATSs. That is the application tracking system. Because today the world is going to become global. So the moment the world is become global, everyone and anyone will not see your resume as a hard copy, right? Mail copies are also becoming slowly, and it has almost become obsolete because the mails are getting lost. So everyone has a place to upload the resumes. So when it is there, you spend quality time of seeing and uploading your resume. We have seen that the organization has asked categorically the CV to be uploaded in PDF. People upload it in Word. The CV gets automatically trashed because you do means the HR is not trashing the CV. The system is doing it. You have to understand one thing: the system is there as a first cut, then comes the HR as a second cut of shortlisting. So wherever you see ATSs, spend quality time on the ATSs, fill up the fields properly, and then do it. See, if you are missing out any point, you will automatically, the system will reject you. You will not go to the next step. You will feel that yes, I have applied to Nestle, but it did not come. I did not get it. My friend got it. You go and do a dig test and you find out your friend has done it because your friend has uploaded it in a PDF format and within a stipulated file size, which you have not done. You have uploaded in a Word. They have said that not to upload a photograph of yours. You have uploaded a photograph. So this is where you get hit. Design your resume well, right? Lot of time we have seen that the resumes are not coming up well. The resumes is something someone uses font. If you see that the most common mistake is that fonts are mismatched. You use a Arial somewhere, you use a Times somewhere, you use a Calibri somewhere. Somewhere the font size is 11, somewhere the font size is 15. So this is something which gets hit. If it is to be bold, say for example, your education qualification, you're putting it in bold and in a font size, it's fine. Similarly, and so your project should always be the same font size. And means the same font. Say if it's Arial 12 bold, your summer internship the way the heading should also be Arial 12 bold and not a Times heading, Times underline italics and level. It should not happen. Because see, these are things which are very important and critical. Because current scenario, people, you are not presenting yourself in the first go. Your resume is going in the first go. So when your resume is going in the first go, it's very critical. So if you see it, that is going to play a big factor. The use of graphs, pictures to enhance your resume, because you'll see currently a lot of people are using visual resume because that helps you to attract the eyes of the recruiter. So you can use it. I would rather say that again depends upon how you use it and how effectively. Now, if you see it, a lot of people are using resumes which are there, which are usually used in a format which is not prescribed by the company. Because if you see a company that a lot of times ask for resumes in particular format, which are not hitting it. I'm saying when you are going for physical interviews. Okay, so that is one of the major critical things which you all have to look into. Now I'll have to go into a very monkey step, which I always say, is how you manage your career efficiently. As Professor Mukherjee was saying, that yes, Sanjeev has come out of it comfort. See, basically there are two zones of any human being. One is the comfort zone and the other is the ambitious and your dreams, right? So Sanjeev had a dream today, so that is the reason he is a Padma awardee, right? And he is the pioneer in the startups of Indian startup, pioneer of Indian internet, and so that is where is that. So if you see what happens is that all of us look into one step is that we don't need a comfort zone. If we need a comfort zone is that you stay where you are doing, maintain a stability, just look for basic internal promotions. But here what happens is that there will always be a fear psychosis working with you. You will always be having a fear, am I becoming redundant? Is it the company is looking for an alternative? Is it that the company is trying to do something differently with me? That is one step. But if you look into an ambitions and a dreams, is that what happens is that in that case, your job search, the perspective changes. You start becoming financially more independent. You may have rough patches, I would rather say, in the initial stages. But once it flies off, once it kicks off, you will have a lot of financial independence. You become a lot of very intellectual. A lot of people start interacting with you. A lot of people start looking upon to you. But yes, you will have a lot of conflicts within you. So first and foremost is that define you as yourself as a product. See, I'd rather say that whenever any person joins us on board, we say that you have confidence in yourself. Then you have confidence in the company, and then you have confidence in what you are selling. Everything else will happen. So that is what is the success story. I would rather say all of you go on and on and on, having the first foremost thing is that confidence in yourself. If you do not have the confidence in yourself, nothing ever can happen and nothing ever can come. Right? So one most critical thing, and now I will come into the most important part of my presentation. If you see is that be social and be global. See, currently, if you see, you cannot move out of the war, step out to submit your resume. You cannot go and do a physical interview. But people are always constantly monitoring you with a microscope. So if you are having a profile of yours, I know that it's a young age for all of you, so it's very difficult for all of you to have standard profiles. But I'd rather say that gradually more and more you'll grow up, you should have standard profiling for yourself. Your Facebook profile, your Twitter profile, your LinkedIn profile, your Insta profile, all your profiles should speak the same. The reason is that people will try to relate you with that profile of yours. So if you are uploading that you have done an achievement in your Facebook, that should always be uploaded in your LinkedIn also. That gets uploaded in your Insta also. That gets uploaded in your Twitter also. So or maybe your G Plus also. So all these things are going to be critical. Now, why is that I am harping for an option that why is that people have to go on with that? If you see, let's go to the picture of 2020. Currently, the population of the world is 7.77 billion. Out of which 55% of the urbanization has happened. 45% is still in the rural population. But if you see a lot of people currently who are there are still having internet access. Because if you see the penetration wise, 66% penetration has happened into the population, or it is 5.16% has already have an internet penetration in the form of a mobile penetration in the form of mobile, whatever be it a smartphone or be it a normal phone. If you go gradually into the next step, is that you go to internet users. 59% penetration. Now, if I go a step back, if I go to 2 years back, this penetration was not above 40%. If you still see, there is still a lot of scope of 41% penetration happening, because a lot of these people are going in, and currently with this particular scenario, with the pandemic, this penetration is going to happen high. And if you see that 3.81 billion of people is on active on social media. So as I say that you people have to be very active on social media. Yes, but be active on social media and start posting it. But when you are posting things on social media, be very careful what you post. Right? Now, if you want to see the global digital board, this also I'm giving you data, which is again April 2020 data. So active social media users has gone up in the last 1 year by 8.7%. That is plus 304 million. Do you understand the amount of people who have moved to social media? So social media is going to play a major and critical role for all of us. I'm not saying it is only for some people that who are there and all, but all of us. If you see, all organizations are spending a huge amount of money on the social media. Now, if you see number of times the person has spent on social media, this if you see, yes, smartphone or mobiles, it is around 79% of female has spent their time on smartphone or mobiles, while 74% of male has spent it. While 45%, it's an equal mix of male and female who have come into laptops and computers. So I'm not going to the further steps and all, but this is what is there. And then if you see, I come to the last portion. Is that a very critical thing? Is the number of time spent. See, the total of 4.57 billion internet users globally, a person in this April 2020 on an average has spent around 6 hours 39 minutes. So you understand 6 hours 39 minutes has been the internet time spent by each and every individual in this. So of these total. So that as I say, so it's a very, very, very critical thing that we be social. If we are not social, then it is going to be very critical. As I say, that a lot of people say that you tell me about yourself, you showcase me, you tell us. So I always say that you please check my profile, this is there and all that. So all of you start maintaining your profile, start creating your profile, and start creating your connections on that. It is not just maintaining your profile and creating your profile. You have to increase your connection, be actively participant in that. Okay, now all of you must be going and giving a lot of interviews, might be preparing for a lot of interviews, but I know you people are quite competent enough to crack interviews. But what is more critical is that you leave a lasting impression in the interview. Because see, currently what is going to happen is that all interviews will happen through this virtually. It's a video call or a Zoom call or a Google Meet. This is what is going to happen. So as I say that always try to leave the opportunity to ask never leave the opportunity to ask a question. So anyone who's asking, trying to say, do you have any question? Try to ask a question, right? Always tie up your USPs with the organization. Never confront on any issues, because see, it's a normal phenomenon. We try to see that if a person gets idiot and all those stuffs and all, or how is it that he's politically motivated and all, is that we at times throw political questions. So try and confront not about that and move out of that. Right? Do not try to directly or indirectly answer any of this. If someone says that if there is a India-Pakistan war, what will you do? Try to step out of these type of questions. Ask about your next steps. If you feel that the interview has gone well, yes, you should start what is your next processes and steps and then do it. And then leave with a thank you note because you try to do it. But you always have a feeling that your last impression is going to be a lasting impression. Right? Now, the spaces where the most of you must be very keen about, interested about where are the spaces where hiring is currently happening. As I say, is that I can speak you with data points which I have from the industry per se, because these are Naukri per se data which I am telling you. That see, basic industries like an agriculture, FMCG, pharma and healthcare is obviously hiring, right? Logistics is hiring and it's going to come up in big ways because this is going to be a very critical industry in the coming future. E-commerce, definitely a big thing to play. Then your digital payment companies like the wallets and the phone pays and Paytms and all those stuffs and all becoming, these are going to be companies where there will be a lot of hiring. Digital marketing companies, because most of the people will try to move out from print, try to move out from conventional TVs and all and move into digital. So digital marketing companies are going to be very critical. Gaming and these OTT companies are these companies which are like these Hotstars and Z5s and all. So this is there. Insurance is going to always come back in a big way. Banks, obviously, because see, banks were having a bad time. But if you see the currently, I can tell you that in the last couple of months and all, the banks have also started looking at robotics, because a lot of these contactless things are happening. So robotics is going to be a new thing. And education, especially the online education companies and edutech companies, and new age like cloud computing, digital marketing, and content. See, I would always say that if you have basics in yourself, if you have content in yourself, things will happen. I'd like to end this session with hello everyone of Sundar Pichai's 2020 session, which he had given. Okay. So great. I think most of you must have seen this, but I still, if you want to have it up, we can play it. It's a 5-6 minute. Say, I tell you one thing. It's a most common answer. You ask them, they usually say, "I had suffered from dengue. I had suffered from jaundice. I had a broken leg and all." So this is not a thing. See, yes, if because see, people come up with all these weird answers and all, and it is a normal thing that I have seen it. So if you come that yes, if you have suffered a malaria or a dengue and all, yes, it should be coming up with that authenticity, and you can come up and straight away say that yes, I have done it, or this is a thing which I had. I tell you, even I had hired a guy in Patna. He was pursuing engineering. Right. He had pursued for 2 years. After that, he could not cope up. So he had dropped out. And then he had pursued humanities. And he said that, sir, yes, sir, I tried for 2 years. I could not. So I'm very sorry. But yes, and this is what I have done it and all. And he had all documents. I tell you one thing, he had all documents to substantiate that. So if someone says that I had a broken leg and I had a fractured thing and all, for which I could not give a final board exams and all, that is a normal common phenomenon.
Yes, I agree with you. So you
sir,
are basically
tell you one thing, in today's date also, sir, we also believe in the one same thinking, same thing is that you have to speak what is a fact and what is a truth.
So you are talking of Satyameva Jayate.
Yes.
You know that being truthful is the best policy. Yes. Whereas most youngsters believe that hoodwinking and all that thing is. So participants, I think he's telling a very old time-tested time that Satyameva Jayate. So let us stick to the truth. That's nothing like truth. Truth wins in the long term.
See, I'm not saying that you all may. It is that yes, people may suffer. Yes, someone had said I had seen that people had suffered and they had given me showed documents also. Sir, yes, sir. See, you see, said I had this serious illness. Here is my medical certificates. That that is okay, acceptable, but it is a way you say. It is a way you say. See, the way you present. See, it should not come up in that way that I am asking. Say, as an organization or the HR is asking you, why is there a gap of 1 year? Instead, it should come, if it comes from the other side, that sir, I have a gap of 1 year, right? And this is the reason, because see, you have to first understand how the connect is going with the interview, and then you can place yourself. If you see that everything is going fine with you, then you can straight away go and say that sir, this is what I have. Because see, this is an obvious question which is going to come and hit you, that why is there a gap of 1 year?
True. I think participants, I actually loved this last 1 hour. We almost more than 1 hour into this thing, and I learned so many things. I think one thing is, this was also a futuristic presentation in the sense that one of the slides which I liked most was the slide on the career management, where he said that whether you should stay put on the job or we should go for a job search. And he said you want to stay put because the fear factor is there. You don't want to move out. So that may not be relevant to you today. But as you get into this, that's why I'm saying it's a futuristic presentation, because many of the points spoken today will be relevant even after 5 years, 6 years. And the other thing what we talked about is, what I liked is like a product has a USP, like a Dabur Honey has a USP, Colgate toothpaste has a USP, like you also are a product. So basically, what is your USP? Now for this USP, what we mentioned was that your SIP right now, because you're very young, your SIP is the most important thing. Now here I want to talk, and this again I'm talking of the next 25 years of your life. The best USP is your performance. If your performance is there, you'll always be able to have a USP backed up by figures. So what can be a USP now for you is that do your SIP very well. The other USP that you could say is that my Heritage Business School had 10 webinars during the lockdown. I attended all the webinars, and whereas students, many of my friends used to come in late, I always checked in 15 minutes before time. That itself could be a good USP at your age, right? So we have a question from Professor Gaur Banerjee, a principal of the academy. He's saying that, do you foresee a lot of changes in the skill set expectations of the recruiters? Please highlight few for our BBA and MBA students. Any skill set expectations, changes you expect from the recruiter? That's what he's saying.
Professor Banerjee, see, I'd like to say that, see, what is going to happen is that technology is going to play a major role.
Right.
Right. So again, it depends upon that, especially for your BBA and MBA students, right? People have to be tuned to technology and adapted to technology. Say, for example, if someone is saying that I did a SIP in this lockdown, and SIP in this lockdown is usually a virtual SIP, right? So even if it's a virtual SIP as done, so that virtual SIP has to be backed in by documentation, because just last week I had entered about 3-4 forms of students who were of XISS, and they were asking some questions. So they had made some Google Docs and uploaded some questions where I had filled in and I had submitted. So that is going to be important. But yes, if you see that it's too early to say, Professor, that what is going to be the technology changes. Because as we go on, means things are changing every day, day in and day out. I give you a small example, Professor, that most of these schools, if you see, have gone to online mode. So student as low as standard 1 are doing online classes, right? If you see that you as professor, sir, you have been a finance professor, and you have been going and teaching mostly into your slides and mostly into your basic blackboards. But currently you are using technology to a large extent. So technology is going to play a major part, and how fast we adapt to technology is the biggest thing. Because of at the current pace, if you see, what is going to happen is that if you look into a school perspective, in an earlier day, a class used to have 45 students and 1 teacher, but currently there is about 200 students and 1 teacher is taking the class. So that is there. So there will be a lot of realignment which is happening. There will be a lot of redesigning of jobs. There will be a lot of redesigning of the curriculum, a lot of redesigning of the way we are working. So I give you a small example, sir. We as an organization, we are used to physical connect with clients. Means we do physical contacts with clients. We meet clients daily, right? So on an average, a normal person meets average of 3 clients a day. So currently, it is not possible that we are meeting 3 clients a day. But yes, we are connecting over phone. We are connecting virtually. That has increased. If you see, we are instead of 3, we are meeting to 4 or 5.
Yes,
But that is
yes.
happening.
Yeah,
So this is there. Plus,
okay.
the major thing is that Professor Banerjee, I would rather say is that we have to first and foremost be very, very knowledgeable about what we say and what data we give, because see, it's very easy to speak face to face, because I can see you physically, so I can tune myself and tune my words and tune my pitch. But when it is virtually, it's very difficult,
Yes,
because
yes.
today I may put my video on and I may be speaking with you, and you are putting a video on, I am seeing you, but it may not be always the case, because the internet's connectivity is again a challenge. So that is
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Acha,
sir.
one moving on. There are many questions, so I will not connect, but I will ask the questions on their behalf. So, and there are some common questions also. Now, one thing, Amitabh, what is happening is like multinational and the FMCG companies were a big hit, during our time, and maybe during Big Chandan's time also. He joined Glaxo. But I find people are still fixed to the, the Colgate and the normal traditional companies. Uh, should they be fixed there? On you gave a lot of examples of the gaming companies, the insurance companies, and they don't seem to like the insurance companies much or the banks much, because they feel a lot of targets. So should they love to join a bank, or they should because I find many students both here and in previous organizations are really scared of joining a bank. So I want to give you a broader answer that students, should they keep loving those old multinational like Colgate and HUL, or and if they have a choice between, let's say, a leading bank and say the big four of the accounting firms, like Anuj Gandhi is asking me. So what is your perspective on that?
See, it again depends upon, as I said, that you have to set your goals right. See, where you
Right.
want to go after 2 years. I'm not saying 4 years. 2 years down the line. Say, as Anuj might be asking, yes, see, 2 years down the line, if you want to join any of the big fours in the consulting company, right? So, is it that you want to stay in the consulting space and do something with that, or is it that you want to join an FMCG company and do a lot of legwork and then gradually go up the ladder and become a director of a FMCG company, or might be a brand manager of an FMCG company? That is again to you. But as you're saying, sir, I'd rather say that I don't know if out of 100 participants that I have, I'm considering about all 100 to be students, right? How many of them are coming from a non-engineering or a non-science background? Or to be precise, can you tell me that? Or can I just have an open question? That how many of you feared maths in your school days? How many would be that? What would
Yeah,
be the percentage?
most would be in our kind of institute. It would be most.
So if
Unlike
you
IIM.
see, yes, in your cases, if it is the most, even if I consider that 40% of you failed for your maths, but at least some of you appeared for, because all of you appeared for maths, and some of you out of those 45 people, right, have actually moved, who had a fear in maths in class 10 has moved to engineering and then subsequently done engineering. So if you see, there were a lot of maths. So I tell you one thing, it's just mere fear psychosis that you are having of joining an insurance company or a bank, right? Chandra Kochar passing out had joined the bank, right? So if she had joined the bank and she could become, see, I'm not going into the dark sides of it. Let's see the plus side of it. If you see that if she became the CEO of ICICI Bank, the largest private sector bank, and she had taken it to that height. So it is, see, you see, we have to start. You cannot just say that insurance is bad. Then is that you should not take insurance. Then as a human being, we should not take life insurance or medical insurance.
Right.
So today's date, if you consider me, I still date, I respect the most the person who have joined the Eureka Forbes. See, it's a very tough task to go and do a call at 8 in the morning and knock the door and say that, sir, do you have a vacuum cleaner or a water purifier? Right? But I've seen people who have joined Eureka Force are successful people in the corporate world today. So you have to start. See, no job is bad. No job is bad. No job is tough. Every job, if you enjoy the job, it is not tough. See, when we joined Info Edge in 2002, I'd rather say the first thing is that we had to teach people internet. Then we had to teach people Naukri.com. See, we never used to get directly. People never used to meet us. People used to say, "What Naukri? I don't know," and all. But people used to misspell Naukri with Nokia, and that time Nokia was in boom. So we used to easily get entry, and then we used to gradually go and do it. See, no job is bad. No job is bad. You have to understand.
Achha, one more question, though Amrita is asking, but it's a very general question. You know, like which students should take up HR because, you know, many people, they say that we love to interact with people and therefore they want to take up HR. And, you know, you know, marketing also involves dealing with people. So actually, what do you think is the trait by which one should take up HR, and what should the trait by which one should take up marketing?
See, HR in today's date has seen a lot of changes. See, HR in today's date is not the basic old HRs. See, HR in today's date is first and foremost is that there is a lot of analytics which is coming there in HR. Right. Yeah. So, for example, a person has to sit and do and analyze that what is happening. A lot of productivity things are coming up in HR. Second is that realigning and redesigning of the organization per se. If you have to look into HR, see, I'd rather say like most of the B schools that we are currently into or whatever be it, it's very difficult to get a marketing job. Usually you land up with a sales job. Similarly, in an HR per se also, even if you get into a corporate HR, usually it will happen is that you will initially be asked to do basic recruitment. So it is that if you learn recruitment, is that you start learning HR. So similarly, if you start doing sales, is that you start growing up the ladder.
No, so Amitabh, what I'm saying is, if a first student comes, like at the end of the first semester and says, okay, I'm confused between choosing between, say, sales and HR, what are the qualities required, you think, for someone who will become good in HR and someone who wants to take up sales in the second year market specialization?
See, sir, I tell you one thing. See, HR is that if he or she wants to take up HR, is that whether she has a liking to take up HR, or is it that she just wants to take up HR because it's more like a comfortable job sitting in the AC or things like that. See, sales, if you see, you ask 90% of the engineers passing out today would like to say, I would like to join an IT company, even if he is a mechanical engineer or an instrumentation engineer.
True.
So why is that? It is that you mean to say these manufacturing companies are bad, or these manufacturing means a person joining a Tata Steel or person joining a Welspun or person joining any of these, is it that they are equally bad, or is it that it is only the Infosys of the world are good, they employ the best people? Means best engineers, I would rather say. See, first and foremost, sir, the first basic question is that you will have to, means they should ask themselves that what is convincing them to come up and take HR. Is it that they want a comfortable thing? So the world is not comfortable in today's date. Let's be very precise. So let's be very precise. So let's be very upfront and precise. The world is not comfortable. So you cannot just under any circumstances expect that we will give everyone a comfort.
Right. So this is a very important point, students, that, you know, don't look for comfort at the early stage of your career. And I think in HR also, I've seen very successful HR managers. They travel a lot. They meet their own sales managers, you know, territory managers. So, you know, it's very important that you don't sit in the AC office at the initial part and you actually go to the field and understand the trials and tribulations of your salespeople actually. So that's very important.
So even if I say for example, me today being into Naukri for almost 18 years now, right? I still go out and make calls. See, if the lockdown would not have been, even in this lockdown also I made a couple of calls, and it's physical calls. So it is that, see, if the moment you think that I have gone up the ladder is that you are losing connect. Say if you are into HR, you're losing connect with your human capital, is that you're losing connect with your peers, you're losing connect with your people in the organization. So you are not getting the pulse of the organization. So you as a HR, you're not going to become successful. Similarly, if you are into sales and if you're not into market, you will not hear what the market is saying. So you are not getting the market pulse. Say for example, in today's date, I give you a small example. Say I go and dictate and say that yes, the client who paid me 20 lakh last year has to give me 25 lakhs this year. I cannot go and dictate it because the market currently has changed. I have to go and see the dynamics of the market, and maybe I step into 20 lakhs, come down from 20 lakhs also. That can also happen. So you, whatever field you be, you have to be in the market.
Yeah. Acha, Vishwanath Kundu is our second year MBA student of Heritage Business School. He's asking a very good question, very generic question. He's saying that should I stick on to my first job for many years, or can I leave even after 6 months if I get a better opportunity?
So as I said, first and foremost is that you have to check the job which is there with you. What is your growth opportunity with that organization? Or is it that you have opportunity to grow, you have opportunity to learn, not only grow, the opportunity to learn. Say for example, I just give a small example, you might have joined a FMCG company today, right? The FMCG company is paying you X. Tomorrow you join a startup, which is an internet startup or edutech or a fintech startup who is giving you X plus 20. You feel that I am getting good salary. But first and foremost, you have to first find out whether the company is stable, whether the company is giving you the right job opportunity. Instead, I would rather say you stick to the FMCG company and gain more knowledge and gain more experience, and then gradually move out. See, if you have your knowledge in with you, there is no substitute with that. And if in today's date also, as Professor Mukherjee will accept, in our days also, in our MBA days also, our dream jobs used to be FMCG company.
Yeah.
So if you get into an FMCG company, please stick around to that FMCG company for at least, if not anything, 5 years, because that itself will give you a lot of learning, immense learning. I'm telling you one thing, immense learning.
No, but Mr. Amitabh, what I really want to say is that were our dreams for the FMCG companies. Shouldn't have dreams changed in this 25 years? Why are the students still think the FMCG is the dreams? That's what I'm asking. With so many technology happening.
It's a lot of technology coming, but if you see end of the day that these FMCG companies are stable company. You go to any FMCG, you tell anyone on these forums, they would rather say, given a date that a big startup vis-a-vis asking and joining ITC or maybe Marico or maybe a Reckitt Benckiser, they would rather say, let me go and stop into an FMCG company and do it out there.
But Amitabh, frankly speaking, if I was again 22, 23, instead of stability, I think I would have go for an OTT media company, insurance company. I would have, stepped out of my crease and tried to hit a 6. I may get caught in my first job, but it is really worth, I can't believe, I feel whenever someone talks
I understand that these OTT companies are coming.
Stepping on hitting a 6, and not playing in the crease, looking for the ball and playing the offside ball in the offside. At 23, you should be more adventurous, right?
That is, as I said, sir, that my monkey philosophy applies. Is it that you want to stay in your comfort zone or you want to get out of that comfort zone?
Yeah,
right. So, as I say it again depends upon how you want to stay across and how you want to build across. But yes, I would rather say that if, as Professor Mukherjee is saying, that yes, these OTT companies or the new age companies are definitely great opportunities because they give you a lot of learnings. But again, you have to check upon the company before you join. You should not join a company which is just come up and maybe flying off after a couple of days. We do a lot of market research. I tell you one thing, a lot of these sites like an Ambition Box, like a Glassdoor and all, gives you a lot of insight about an organization per se, right? Whether before joining an organization, what is that the employees in these organizations are telling you?
Acha, there is a question from Krishnendu Ghosh. He is outside Heritage System. He is the MCOM from BSc. He is asking a generic question. What the recruiters look for in a fresher while hiring for a particular job? What qualities give a fresher added advantage over an experienced guy in order to get the job? So what are the qualities they look for in freshers, and can you have any advantage over an experienced guy? Very generic, nice question.
So there are a couple of things. First and foremost is that we look for is that person kicked up, or is he enthusiastic about joining an organization, right? First is that that is a major critical thing, because investing in a fresher, the best part is that I am making a future investment. While even if I take an experienced guy, I don't know whether he might stay with us or maybe move out in a couple of years or not. But a fresher may stick around if we give him a right growth, right opportunity. Because if you see, a freshers usually are taken with a perspective of 2 years, 3 years minimum in an organization, at times at 5 years also in an organization, right? So that is there. So as freshers, I would rather say that yes, there is opportunity, but yes, you have to have the right knowledge and you have to showcase the right knowledge. Say, as you said, if you are going and joining a tech company, they will ask you to do some coding. So obviously, when they judge you with the coding experience, they will be looking into you as a fresher rather than an experienced guy. You may do an equal type of coding as an experienced guy. So that is nothing to do with that. So it is, freshers are always given much priority. It is there and all. So if you see it currently, if you see organization, when they hire very clearly. They say that if I'm hiring a fresher, I'm hiring a fresher. I don't want to hire experienced guys. And if they're hiring an experienced guy, they will say, I hire an experienced guy. I don't want to hire freshers. So that catch line has actually come up. If you see that people usually when they hire, that the experience makes it's a 0 to 1 year experience, right? And a 1 to 4 years experience, right? So even if you see a 1 to 4 or 1 to 5 years experience, so a guy with 1 year experience can easily compete with a guy with 5 years experience. There is no challenge in that.
Truly. Acha, there is Ruby Odhikari, BCom third year. Ruby, are you there? Are you BCom from Heritage, or you're doing a BCom from some other college? Ruby Odhikari. She is, I think, asking a generic question that she's now in the final year of BCom, and she's asking that what should I choose for my career? That's what she's asking after BCom.
After BCom?
Yeah.
See, it depends upon which line you want to go into. If you want to go into corporate life, then the opportunity or the option open to you is that if you're good in your it's basic accounting and stuffs like that, then you can opt for either a cost or a CFA. If you're currently pursuing with that, then that's a different question. Or you can go for an MBA finance, right? Or if you want, you can, or if you want to take up education as a line, you can ideally go in for doing your masters and doing it. It depends upon, as I said, is always that you have to set your priorities and your goal first. Is that if you want, yes, that I want to go into a corporate life, your corporate life has to be in tune with that. So do a little bit of market research. You can definitely find out. It is there.
But Ruby Odhikari, my answer to you is, you're from outside Heritage. My answer to Ruby is, you please join the MBA of Heritage Business School. That's the best option for you after BCom.
See, MBA, if you really want to go into corporate world, there is no substitute that to an MBA. Yes, you should always go for an MBA.
Yeah. Okay, this is one very nice question. You know, what is happening, I have found in many of the organizations, sometimes those who want to do HR as a career, but initially, they may not get a HR opening. So suppose they join the sales and marketing stream, and after 1 or 2 years, they move to HR. Will this experience be counted? That is the apprehension. I think Kirti is asking, Kirti Dubey. So what's your answer to this? If they work in the sales and marketing and then move to HR, so how will that experience be viewed, basically? That's what I'm asking.
So first and foremost is that she will be asked a basic question is, why you want to move to HR from sales? That itself is a question that you have to be first, means you have to answer. Means why is that from sales you're moving to HR? Is it that, yes, I'm not enjoying sales, is that I'm moving to HR, or my health is not permitting, is I am moving into HR? Then it's a different question. But if from moving to sales to HR, if you really want to move, I would rather say that you should ideally move into companies which are into HR-centric companies. Look into those big four look into the Mercer, look into these companies like the Michael Pages and Randstad and all, which are again into the HR domain. So if you see there, your HR experience, sorry, your sales experience will be taken a little bit, means it will be counted, because if you're doing a little more of B2B sales, your sales experience will be counted, because here also you will do almost a similar exercise, move into an HR domain, may not be directly into HR, but you may move into HR consulting.
Okay. And Amitabh, like I always tell my students that, they should try their hand at entrepreneurship and not only look for jobs. So do you think they can try their hands at entrepreneurship right after passing out, or they should wait for 2 years, work somewhere, or it's not necessary to wait? If they have a good idea, they can start right away?
So I would rather say that they should start right now. If possible, they should make an opportunity today. See, I tell you, there are a lot of these angel investors today. There are a lot of these companies today who are waiting for funds, who wants to invest. If you see, Anand Mahindra had waited for, he said that I waited for 2 years. And then he had invested in a social media company in his own individual capacity. I'll give you like InfoEdge as an organization. We invest a lot of these startups and all these things. People with great and brilliant ideas. Today, Zomato, if you see, Zomato has been actually it's our investing company. So if you see that it's a place, or it was an idea once upon a time. Now they came up with that idea. They presented the same idea to Sanjeev Bikhchandani, and Sanjeev was prompt enough to accept that and help them out with that. See, I tell you one thing. See, we should all look at an opportunity to become entrepreneurs. See, when Sanjeev Bikhchandani started off, right, he also thought that he will employ so many people. Today, as I say, he's employing so many people. He has a lot of his other own personal capacity investments also. As I say, I give a small example. This Ashoka University, you all might be aware, Sanjeev is one of the major key person out there. Wow Momo, Sanjeev Bikhchandani is an investor in that, right? And so Wow Momo is a great example. This guy started off after passing his +2.
Yes. Right. Yeah. True.
Forget about anything. Just look at Facebook.
So I think I totally agree with Mr. Amitabh that students, you should start away. If you have a good idea, don't wait for anything. Just jump and try out your idea. Before I move to the next question, as Namrata has requested, there is if the e-certificates will be given, but for that you'll have to give up. Please fill up the feedback forms. So only if you fill up the feedback form, then only you'll get the certificate. So please fill up that thing. I'm very happy, Mr. Amitabh, that Afreen Naz, she's from Bhawanipur College outside the HS system. She's pursuing her MCOM degree. And she's saying that a lot of people have lost their jobs in pandemic. So what are the chances for jobs for fresher? So Afreen, before Amitabh sir answers, my answer to you is I have, you should actually after MCOM do your MBA, because MCOM is not a professional course, Afreen. So do your MBA, and by the time you pass out in you can still join an MBA. So by the time you pass out in 2022, I think all the pandemic will be over. The economy will have a V-shaped recovery or a U-shaped recovery, and then you can jump and get a very good job. Amitabh, you want to add something on this?
I tell you one thing. See, what happens is that everyone is saying that yes, we lost jobs. We have lost jobs. We have lost people and all. But yes, we need people again. The need is that, as I said, every organization today might be resizing or downsizing and all, but very soon they will also start realizing maybe they have laid off 100, but they will maybe rehire 70. Now these 70, if you see that these 70 may not be people with that experience, bandwidth and all. They may see that yes, a person with a fresher can do a job, similar kind of job. If not with 100% efficiency, at least with 70-80% efficiency. So that opportunity, I tell you one thing, opportunity of freshers is always there and it will always be there. But yes, you will have to be technologically sound. You'll have to be with the time. You'll have to be present in social, be social, and always try and be updated with industry information. See, I tell you one thing, I had seen a presentation, a gentleman came and they were giving a presentation to me last year and he was giving some 2010 data. So I said that 2010 data is redundant data. So he said, no, this is authentic data. I said that means we were blank. We said that we do not accept these data. He's saying this is there and that is there or not. So you should have to, if you are presenting data, means I could gather this April 2020 data of the internet users and the social users and all. So I also researched on the net and did it and found out. But when you're presenting data, you have to be sure that these data are authentic data. Second is that when you have to be knowledgeable with these data. So it does not make sense that I am just copy pasting data and presenting data. See, in today's date, it's very easy to copy paste data and it's very easy to find out also from where you have copy pasted.
Right. Achha, we have a student called Madhushmita Kotak. She's a very bright student. So she's confused. She's asking that should she spend more time with her extracurricular activities or only focus on her studies? How important is extracurricular activities for a student's career?
See, again, it depends on extracurricular activity. Again, it depends on what extracurricular activities you're doing. See,
like various kind of, the college fest you take part, and then, like in various debates, sports, etc., the college organizes.
See, I would like to ask you one blunt question. What is your father or your mother going to ask you? That you are going to college to do your fest or you're going to college to do your studies? Right. So this is a blunt question, but yes, extracurricular activities is an integral part also, because that helps you out in couple of ways. Because if you see that you are organizing extracurricular activities and fest and all, as we say that if you see in Nestle, if anyone who's hired in Nestle, usually as a sales officer, they look for people who have been captains of school cricket team, not football team. Because in school cricket team, what happens is that you spend a lot of time managing a cricket team. Managing a cricket team on a field is very difficult than managing a football team, right? So they see that activity as a big part in that. So similarly, I'm saying a lot of companies also look into that. Yes, you have that quality of organizing, leadership ability, and all. Say, for example, you have participated in a college fest, not your college, in some other college fest where you had been there, or maybe a debate competition where you have been there and you have been successful and you have been the champion out there and you have highlighted that in a CV. So that also carries a lot of weightage. But yes, you have to equally balance both, but studies is your priority. That I would always say. It cannot be that you cannot come up and say that my CGPA has gone down because I was the secretary of the fest. Because that no one will excuse. Neither your parents will excuse, neither will the corporates will excuse.
But I have always believed that, to develop a very holistic, integral personality, which, finally you should be in debates, you should be in, organizing the college events that will actually build up your personality. And that really helps you in the long term. That really helps you on your social skills, which is very important to do your career.
See, I tell you one thing. I am telling you a story which will be about 20 years back when I had given an interview with Procter & Gamble. Right, we were asked to fill up a questionnaire that had about 15-20 questions. So the 15-20 questions is that was there, and these 15-20 questions were situations which I had faced and how I had managed it. But I was a fresher at that point of time. And I had I interviewed and do it. I went to the final round. I cracked that interview, but there was, for some other reason, I could not join it. I would rather say, that's one of my regret in life also, that I could not take that offer. That till the last final round of the interview, they were still going on with those same 20 questions, right? So, but in these 20 questions, all my answers were related to what I had done in situations in my college, what I had done in situations in my schools, or what I had done in situations in my summer interns and all. But if you see, these were mostly questions which are related to team building and leadership. So there, as you rightly said, your college events and all is going to play a major role. Plus, if you see, these college events is going to play a major role if you go on, especially going and giving a GD. See, if you go on giving a GD, you will see there are a lot of chaos, right? So if the chaos is happening, there will be one person usually controlling it. You do a background check, you will see that person had been active. Either he has been in the role that you are currently saying, that you have been active in fest, you have been organizing, you have been an organizer and all. So that is a very big plus point. And the person who is able to control the situation is the person who gets noticed in front of the recruiter.
Right. Okay. Amitabh, one last question that you and I both agree that there should be very active presence on social media. But can you tell the students what they should not do or what they should not post in, say, Facebook or something? What they should not do, what they should not post?
So they are too young. I'd rather say that if you tell me to tell it that it is something that I will go beyond constitution to tell them not to post. So it is something that it is going beyond constitution that I am stopping I'm violating their freedom of speech. Okay. They are most welcome.
I keep on telling them, that don't write anything against your school teacher, school principal, college teacher, college principal, because what will happen is the employer may think, whether it's Colgate or it's Pricewaterhouse, they will think that the person who can write against his school principal or against his college principal or college teacher, he will write that, once he joins the organization, he will start writing bad things, because everything is not going to be smooth. You cannot like everything about a person. So that is one thing I keep telling them, not to write anything bad about other persons, actually.
See, I tell you one thing, means whatever you are doing today, I know all of you will be future entrepreneurs or will get good jobs, right? But don't forget that the brand behind you will be Heritage Business School. The brand behind you will not be anything else. So do not, under any circumstances, write bad about something, as Professor Mukherjee is saying, that everything is now monitored under microscope. See, the moment you write something like that yes, I had done this and I had got some whatever feeling, maybe it is out of rush of blood and all, but that may create a negative impression about you. See, I just give a small example. There's a person who came for an interview. He said we were going for the interview and all, but by the time he was we were at the finishing stages, is that we realized that what he had written in his LinkedIn profile, vis-a-vis what is written in his Facebook profile, vis-a-vis what is written in his Twitter, were completely different, right? And if you see that people who have been asked, he had asked a lot of people to endorse him and do it and all. But if you see that, we could find out, yes, there were things which are there, but they were not as per what he was saying or expecting. I will rather give you one different perspective of the hiring which is currently happening the way it is happening in US, which is going to come and hit in India very shortly, is that it may not apply to freshers as a whole, or maybe 2 years, 3 years down the line, is that companies will start identifying people as consultant, because consultant work jobs are going to be a major thing, right? Retainership jobs, consulting jobs. These are going to be gig workers are going to be a major thing in the Indian economy, right? So in US, what happens is that a person who was working with a big IT company, right? He had been identified by SAP, and when he went for the interview in SAP, right? He said that I sat for the interview in SAP. That was again a virtual interview where he was, in fact, he went to the SAP headquarters, but it was a virtual interview through video conferencing and all. They said that we have to come to our office, but there will be a video conferencing with some lot of tech people and all those stuff. She said that the interview is nothing like that, okay, Mr. X, you please introduce yourself and something like that. They said, Mr. X, this is your background. You have done your engineering from XYZ. You've done your MBA from here. This is your percentile. This is the projects that you have done. He said that before I could say anything, it was something like that. They know more than what I know, right? So people will, when you are going for an interview, this will come very soon, is that people will say that we know everything about yourself. Tell us something which we do not know. Right. Tell us something which is unique about you, why we should look upon to you.
True. Very true.
But it's a small advice. I would rather tell all of you that whatever job comes to across, because see, the current scenario is totally different. Whatever job comes across, irrespective of that company, irrespective of the job profile and salary, please take up the opportunity and try and then rebuild yourself from there. Do not
Right.
let down any opportunity, even be it an insurance, be it a tech company, be it one of the OTT giants, whatever be it. I would
I
request
think,
all of you, if you have time, please spend some time on the video which Sundar Pichai had given. It's an excellent thing.
we'll send that. Acha, we have almost 1 hour, 40 minutes into this session, and you joined, few minutes before, so you're almost 2 hours. So all good things have to temporarily come to an end, So I want to thank you from the heart of my hearts, Mr. Amitabh, for taking out time on a working day for being with our students and faculty. So I think I personally, even at this age, had a lot of takeaways from this session. So I think one of the biggest takeaway that I would say for students were that Heritage, the brand, is going to stay with you. So always, respect that brand of Heritage Business School. Always put it in high pedestal, like we do to the national flag. And second thing is that, take up any job right now which counts, because right now you need to rebuild yourself. So even if you are, let's say, into HR, but right now you get a sales job, build it up and then go back to HR. And, the CV is something which you need to keep building yourself into it. So, it should not be a static CV. It should be continuously, it should be like your career is your business, I would say. So therefore, your CV represents you. So please spend a lot of time in trying to brush up your CV, to update your CV all the time. And I would now want someone to give a vote of thanks. So I think next to Amitabh's name is Amrita Nayak. The two names are very similar. So may I ask Amrita Nayak to please propose a formal vote of thanks, Amrita?
Yes, sir. Good evening to all.
Your video also on.
Sir, actually, I am having network issues, so may I please...
Okay, no problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, sir. Good. Sir, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Good evening to all. Respected dignitaries, Honorable Speaker of the Day, Mr. Amitabh Chattopadhyay, faculty members, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear friends. I am Amrita Nayak of First Year Heritage Business School. I am honored to propose the vote of thanks. At the onset, I would like to thank Mr. Amitabh Chattopadhyay for the lucid and enriching presentation. I'm sure it has been a great listening for all of us. We certainly had some important takeaways from the session. And on behalf of the Heritage Business School, I would like to thank Shri P.K. Agarwal, Chief Executive Officer, Kalyan Bharti Trust, Shri Probir Roy, Director, Kalyan Bharti Trust, for encouraging us at Heritage Business School. We are thankful to our Director, Dr. J.N. Mukhopadhyay, for moderating the entire session. We are also thankful to Dr. Gaur Banerjee, Principal, the Heritage Academy, and Dr. Kavita Shastri Ma'am for their valuable presence. I would like to thank Dr. Bobby Basu for introducing us to the topic and for her support. Our heartfelt thanks to all the faculty and staff members of Heritage Business School. Last but not the least, my acknowledgement goes to the participants for making this webinar so interactive and interesting by placing valuable questions from the current economic scenario and thereby making this webinar a planned success. So I would like to wind up by thanking you all once again. Thank you so much.